enough of a leeway for the rest of her team to kind of head towards that late game a little bit faster because Vi is very strong once she hits that level 6 point, but I feel she really shines once she hits late game as well, because at that time Lucian's got almost no chance of escaping from her, and she just deals an amazing amount of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't Janna Monsoon away a ulting Vi on your carry, things like that. But I think it actually might be Riven in the mid lane possibly, because there is the teleport on the Cho'Gath. Now, of course, you can kind of play either of them in either lane right now, but my assumption is the teleport will be going in top lane there. And I think that Dr. Pancakes, or Dr. Pancakes rather, like you said on that Riven, is going to be pretty darn strong in lane there and might be able to snowball off of that. But I think that Senpai, we'll call him like Sen Dash Pi, I guess here, because Hat Pie is in the jungle, and he's a little bit of a dash there in mid lane, so Dash Pie and Hat Pie here. I think Dash Pie is going to play reasonably safe right now. He does have the Ignite, though, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some 2-on-2 action there once he gets a little bit closer to level 6, but I would imagine he's going to be playing safe early and wait until he can actually jump around with the ultimate, because before then, Riven is going to be way too mobile for him and should be able to win trades pretty easily, if that is the Riven in mid lane.
And yet we're still seeing an Ignite being picked up on
Mm.
Senpai, so maybe we're going to see a lot of interaction between Hat Senpai and Dash Senpai in that mid lane. A lot of pressure coming out. And, I mean, if Casson gets rolling, that's fantastic. But it's going to be so much harder for Dash Senpai to get rolling compared to Dr. Pancakes, just because Casson's early game is much weaker. And the fact that he's going to have to go up to last hit most of these creeps with melee attacks just puts him in range of Dr. Pancakes every single time. And
Yeah,
that's going to be very rough for Dash Senpai, I feel.
the only problem I see, unfortunately, is that there's kind of a split in the win conditions a little bit for the side of Carry Susie Foundation. Cho'Gath and Vayne both kind of just want to wait until late game. Cho'Gath just wants to feast up, and excuse me, until he's a giant monster and is like pretty much a tank that you can't kill. And Vayne wants to scale up until she can just roll around and not be touched with micro and just one hit. Well, I guess not one hit because Vayne's gonna be going with a fast attack speed, but let's say 5 hit everybody. Where the side of Dr. Pancakes right there, Dr. Pancakes rather, on Riven is going to be trying to play pretty strong early, which I feel like Advantage and Ur are trying to play safe early. So it's a little bit counterintuitive on their team. They've got two different kind of win conditions right now. So I'm interested to see how the side of Carry Susie Foundation plays this. If they just have Vi just camp mid forever and just leave bot and top alone and have those guys scale up and try and get Riven fed and just hope that they can deal with the pressure from Hecarim and top and bottom by themselves, or if they have Vi try and camp those lanes, have Riven just straight up 1v1 cast it in the mid lane and try and protect the people that need to scale up in top and mid for their team.
I feel like Zach has to pay some kind of attention to bot lane and top. Cho'Gath, not so much, just because with that carnivore passive of his, he should be able to sustain himself against someone like Sion on top for days upon days. The problem is going to be Janna Lucian in the bot lane. That's a lot of damage, a lot of protection coming out as well, and I feel that Advantage and Avaros are going to have such a rough time without Zach's help down there. It's going to be almost a necessity. Dr. Pancakes, as much as it would be amazing to see him fed in that mid lane, is, I feel, going to have to be left on his own for the most part, just so Advantage can gain some kind of foothold in that bot lane.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and that's where I feel is the kind of the problem is that normally what you'd want to do is kind of snowball that Riven with Vi, who's so good at ganking the mid lane. Plus, it's pretty easy to gank Kassadin before he gets level 6, so you'd want to do some early ganking and stuff like that. But like you said, I feel like Zach Directs is going to have to spend a lot of time kind of protecting Vayne and allowing her to scale up properly, because it's going to take a little while until Vayne can beat that Lucian. Lucian's going to be stronger than her unless there's some sort of unforeseen outplay that happens. Lucian will be stronger than Vayne for a little while. Vayne will be able to 1v1 Lucian later in the game probably, but I don't imagine they're going to have that many 1v1 scenarios set up.
Yeah, and when you've got a Janna with Ignite as well, there's really not much you can do on someone like Vayne. I believe she's still the squishiest AD carry for the time being. So all it's going to take is one nice slow from Janna, one quick knockup, and that could be all she wrote.
Yeah, and actually Janna opted to take the Ignite as well, so going a little bit aggressive for a very disengage heavy champion. Looks like they might be trying to make some plays early in that bot lane, possibly trying to pick up a kill, like you said, on the weak squishy Vayne early.
We'll just have to wait and see. Everyone's moving out for the moment. Maybe we'll see an invade coming out, but it looks like Inertia is fanning out, going to play a rather protective start and it looks like the foundation, the Carrie Susie Foundation, is going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, like you
And
said, defend. Sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, with a Thresh, you have got the option to go in and engage. Death Sense is very, very strong early on, so that's not completely out of the question, but it doesn't look like the Foundation are going to take advantage of it this game.
Yeah, it seems like they want just a regular start here, just keep everything safe. And it looks like there's actually going to be a little bit of an early invade here in the top lane, just some early vision, a nice ward there that's going to be there to see if there is going to be a start on that Gromp from the side of Carrie Susie Foundation, but they're going to realize that there's nobody starting there at blue or Gromp, so assuming that ZachDirects is going to be starting in the bot lane there on the Krugs. Jana just spamming there, forecast Jana, trying to tell us the weather, bringing up the camera. But yeah, I really like that how they went in together there. Inertia did. Hat Pie as well as INT Pie went in together to go ward just to make sure if there's any funny business. They had some backup for each other. Went in, got the vision, and then just backed off. And Hecarim's actually going to start by himself here in on the top side against these Krugs.
Well, Hecarim's got the option to do that. He has a fair amount of sustain with that I'm sorry, I'm getting the name mixed up right now. Spirit of Dread, which allows him to heal up a fair bit in the jungle. So it's not too rough for him if he does lose out on a bit of health. But Int Senpai is actually going for the blue buff. Is he actually going to survive this, though, is the real question. It looks
Well, he's
like
definitely going to die, but we'll see if he can kill it before his passive wears out. And he should be fine.
I would definitely
he's good to
say
go.
he's going to be able to. But this is such a weird stop. Denying the blue buff, but automatically giving Cho'Gath a level 2 up on top.
Well,
is that really worth it?
The crazy thing is they changed this many patches ago now. After you die with the buff, you get it back if nobody killed you. So he's actually going to start lane with a blue buff here. I've never seen Sion start an actual buff before, only like Raptor camps, things like that. This is going to be a great start for Inertia.
And it looks like they're taking advantage of it down on bot lane as well. A bit of poke coming out onto advantage. Already seeing at about half HP already. Not boding well for the Carrie Susie Foundation, but is still early on. Advantage hasn't really reached that full level of potential yet, so it's still anyone's game. But look at all of that damage coming out. That Janna shield adds so much extra AD, and Lucian is more than willing to take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Evan RL did the really smart thing there, because basically Advantage opted to level up his W second, his true strikes there, true silver bolts rather. So basically what you want to do as Advantage is get 3 auto attacks off to proc that. Now every time Evan's going in and trading, Evan RL on Lucian, he's going in and trading and backing out before the 3rd shot is allowed to be hit. So he's going to be out trading Advantage every single time. So he's playing that extremely smart. Here comes Vi though.
Oh, she's charging up that punch, and the Rupture is going to hit, but the punch is not. Senpai is taking a fair bit of damage, but whether or not Carrie Susie Foundation are going to chase underneath the tower remains to be seen. And there's not much incentive to chase him underneath the tower. Sion is not really someone who's easy to deal with after he's died.
Yeah, and she's coming back around actually.
Well, it is warded up though, but the Rupture is going to miss. Nice flash, but right into the knockup.
Wow.
Beautifully timed.
That's really unfortunate
say.
Yeah, for Carrie Susie Foundation. That was a really unfortunate timing there by ZachDirects to flash on his Q, and he spent so much time there in top lane. See, they got the flash instantly used by the mid laner right there. Dr. Pancakes instantly has to blow his flash, where Senpai wasted a ton of Vi's time and didn't even have to use his flash at the end of all of that time being wasted, where it was an extremely efficient gank from Hecarim in the mid lane. He just jumped right in the lane, forced a flash out, and just went straight back to farming.
Also, we've seen a mass amount of harass coming out from Senpai in the mid lane. Kasten has just been able to harass Pancakes down with these constant null sears time and time again. While he is running now, he's definitely got a clear advantage, but there's the Death Sense onto Evan. He's taking a fair bit of harass, but he's not going to go down. And meanwhile, we're going to focus more on that top lane. Yuri getting knocked up and taking so much damage from that Soul Furnace.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go back here probably. Yeah, he might actually try and bait this out. We'll see if Sion tries to move. No, decides against it, throws up some void spikes. But in the bot lane right there, Advantage tried to get the condemn off into the wall with kind of a weird angle. Unfortunately, it pushed Evan RL just back there. The one thing that Vayne is doing a good job of is staying up in CS. Once she gets rid of the wave underneath turret there, she should be reasonably close to Lucian in CS. Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Getting shot with the creep, but we might see a bit of a follow-up coming out from the Carry Susie Foundation. Lucian is burning, but the third proc is going to be enough. Avaro's going to pick up the kill with Ignite, thanks to a beautiful Condemn coming out for advantage for the third proc of Silver Bolts.
And now here, I don't want to harp too much on this because I understand why he took Ignite, but if you had Exhaust right there on Janna, Senpai RL would have been able to save Evan RL by exhausting Vayne. You would have kept your AD carry alive. Right now, Vayne is going to be free farming. Fortunately for the side of Inertia, Thresh was the one to pick up the kill, so Vayne's not going to be as fed as she could be, but still, allowing Vayne to free farm and then giving her some, oh my goodness, there's a hook that lands, but Vayne actually had to go back to base.
Advantage is nowhere to be seen, though.
That's unfortunate. I like how they waited, though. That's one of the things I like to do, is when you are backing, set yourself up as kind of a bait in a situation where you're like, if this person comes, we can jump on them, but if they don't, then we'll just set back. It's a very kind of efficient thing to do, because your back timer's already ticking, so you can just make the decision off of that. Unfortunately, though, for Avaros, advantage was a little bit too soon on his back timing, and it didn't work out.
I mean, the thing is, you want to be able to do that early on in the laning phase. Later on, you want to be able to push up to the enemy tower, but in a situation where it's early on in the game, where you're only level 3 or 4, there's not really enough time to push the lane up and then go back and heal, but I will get back to that later, because it looks like Dr. Pancakes is in a bit of trouble here. He's activating the ult, but the Wind Slash is doing not that much damage, although Hat Senpai is going to go down. Senpai going to pick up the kill, though. Kassadin might be in trouble here, but he looks like he's out.
Yeah, so the unfortunate thing there, even though it was a good idea to go and gank mid right there because Dr. Pancake still didn't have his flash up, Hecarim had burned it earlier, the problem is that Kassadin has no combat stats right now. He's sitting on a Catalyst the Protector and he started with that Crystalline Flask, so he has no actual damage coming from items. So when they go in for that fight, they don't have the burst damage they need. Now that's why he took Ignite, is for that extra damage, but it's still not enough to get the kill on Pancakes before he picks up a kill himself. So they trade 1 for 1 in mid lane.
Which is not what you want to see happen. I mean, having the kill on Dr. Pancakes is bad. But even worse, I'd say, is giving it over to Dash Senpai on Kassadin. Already, he's sitting at a massive creep lead of about 20 CS this early in the game. And now he's got a kill on top of that as well. That's just going to push his Rod of Ages out even faster. Although, it doesn't look like he's that interested in it at the moment. And instead, going to help out Hat Senpai in the jungle, taking this red buff away from Vi.
Comes Vi in top lane, but it was warded, so he should be fine. Stalls the flash
there's the
earlier.
Rupture, the Chilling Smite! But Sion really going to embody his own mantra here and just run away. But, meanwhile, we're not done in the mid lane. Onslaught of Shadows is going to help Hat Senpai pick up the kill there. But yet again, another instance of Dash Senpai getting more and more of an advantage on to Riven.
Yeah, and that was really good coordination by Inertia to pick up that red buff and then go immediately back to mid lane and pick up the kill. Their movement is so efficient right now, and Hecarim's going to go into top lane. They can dive Cho right now.
Very, very easily. Sion does not have his ulti up, neither does Hat Senpai. But he's actually going to back out of this one. Is going to get spotted out by that ward from Yuri. But, you know, Inertia Senpai is actually doing an amazing job of forcing Yuri to use all of his mana to gain some kind of advantage in top lane. And for the most part, it is working. He's staying up on CS very, very well, but he does always seem to have an advantage up there.
Yeah, he's got kind of lane control, even though, like you said, the CS is pretty much even. He seems to just be kind of having his way in lane. When the jungler comes, Cho has to back off, and when the opposite jungler comes, Sion doesn't really have to do much. He ulted away that last time, but his ult has a pretty darn short cooldown. At final rank, it's something like under a minute if you get some CDR. It's pretty ridiculous. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's going to hurt him now, though, since it is at about a little over 2 minutes. Maybe we're going to see something on bottom here. I'm waiting for the Death Sense to come out from Avaros, but he's going to start off with the Lantern. Zactorec's going to come in, but not really able to pull anything out.
That's what I was so worried about Vi coming down to bot lane, is whenever you're facing a Janna, it's going to be so hard to try and get something off, unless you can just immediately ult and blow up Janna. But here's a real big trade.
Advantage! Taken so low, and the Ignite's actually going to come out from Avaros. That's a bit of a waste there, but it was enough to get them to back off.
I think it was some miscommunication on the bot lane side for Carry Susie Foundation. I think Av Rose was like, "Oh, are we doing this? Like, are we going all in here?" And Advantage was like, "No, I just wanted to get my 3 shots off to proc the True Bolts there." But Evan doesn't dodge the hook actually; just decides to eat it.
It is gonna land.
I like
Nothing
how
doing though.
I like how the Senpai twins here, Dash Pie and Hat Pie, are going around the jungle together and picking up buffs nice and efficient.